The Firesteel, or ferrocerium rod, is one of the most common items used in my pack. They're often small, compact, and will often last for many years. They come in a wide variety of sizes and handles, but the principle is the same. They throw out sparks that can ignite your tinder bundle. The temperatures thrown out by the sparks from a Firesteel can vary significantly. Some only make a few hundred degrees, whilst the upper end ones make sparks that go up to 3000 degrees Celsius. I like them because they don't have any working parts to break, and can work even when soaking wet. They are made of ferrocerium, which is an alloy of different rare earth metals and iron. But despite their simple appearance, there are a number of tips and tricks you can utilise that might just help you get that tinder bundle ignited easier. Most Firesteels will come with a black protective coating. This is to prevent oxidation. Ferrocerium is susceptible to corrosion from moisture and various chemicals, so the protective coating is applied to prevent this when it's not being used. You'll need to scrape away a strip of this layer before you are able to get any sparks from it. Over time, it will begin to oxidise on this exposed area, but we will touch on how to reduce this further in the video. Most of the mass-produced Firesteels tend to come with a little striker. They are attached to the Firesteel via some cordage so that you don't lose it. The striker is just a thin piece of metal that is harder than the ferrocerium rod. What is generally not very clear when you buy these Firesteels is how to actually use the striker. When they first give it a go, many people hold the striker vertically and try to brush sparks off the Firesteel. This often results in frustration, and the technique itself is cumbersome, as you can't really generate much power. The best way to use these strikers is to rotate them 90 degrees and use them on their side. This allows you to apply much more pressure with your thumb to create a more dense area of sparks, giving you a greater chance of igniting your tinder bundle. Here is an example of me using a striker vertically. Although I can get a few sparks from it, I'm not able to apply enough pressure to get a large area of sparks. The second shot shows me using the striker on its side. It's clear to see that it's much more efficient at generating sparks, and it will give you a greater chance of igniting your tinder bundle. Many people do away with the striker altogether and use their knife instead. Most bushcraft and survival knives will have a sharp edge on the back of the blade. This is known as the spine of the knife, and it normally has a 90-degree angle. This sharp angle is the same as the sharp angle on the striker, except you can often generate much more power when using your knife, as you're able to use your whole hand to create the pressure needed to produce sparks. Tilt the knife to create a sharp edge against the Firesteel, and then push down and forward on the knife to create the sparks. It works better on longer Firesteels, as sometimes with the shorter ones you end up pushing away some of the tinder material. Some knives don't have a sharp 90-degree spine. For example, this Halterfor's knife here wasn't manufactured with a 90-degree spine, which means when I go to use it on a Firesteel, it really struggles to get sparks from it, and I have to apply a lot of pressure and effort to generate these sparks. If your knife doesn't have a 90-degree spine, it's okay, as with any bushcraft knife, there is an area on the tip of the blade where the two sides of the grind meet. This will usually have a sharp 90-degree angle, which you can then use to get sparks from the ferro rod. You don't have much room to manoeuvre like you would when you can use the whole length of the spine of the knife, but if you get the angle right, you can generate a large amount of sparks in a concentrated area. If you worry about using your knife on a Firesteel, and your Firesteel doesn't come with a striker attached, then you do have another option. The spine of many saw blades will have a 90-degree angle on it. For example, this folding handsaw here has a sharp edge on the back of the blade. This can be used exactly like a striker, and in my opinion, you can produce more sparks using the back of the saw blade than you can with the little flat strikers. If you are going to use this method, it's generally better and easier with a longer Firesteel, but it can still be done with the shorter Firesteels if you keep the blade still and then pull the Firesteel away from the tinder bundle. Feather sticks are a great way of lighting a fire, especially when the majority of your firewood is wet. It helps to expose the dry inner part of the wood, which can take a spark from a Firesteel. A little tip that I do is once you have made your feather stick, make a number of very thin, short, fine curls near the top of the feather stick. This helps to create a flat area for you to hold your Firesteel against the stick and then shower the fine curls with sparks. Doing it this way concentrates all of the sparks against a very small area of thin wood, which helps it to ignite easily. Then all you need to do is point your feather stick upwards and allow the flame to creep up through the layer of fine curls. Then you can transfer the flame over to a few more feather sticks and begin building your fire with kindling. Now, when I first started using Firesteels, I often showered sparks down on the tinder bundle and ended up knocking the tinder bundle away as I did it. Once I became used to using them, I was able to get much more control, and now this method is second nature to me, and it causes me no issue. However, if you had some very fine tinder, then it might be worth locking your knife or saw right next to the tinder bundle, placing the Firesteel underneath this, and then pulling it away from the tinder bundle. That way, you still get a concentration of sparks going forwards into the tinder bundle, but you don't run the risk of knocking your tinder bundle to pieces by slamming your knife down on it. The shorter Firesteels can also make you do this, as there isn't much length for the striker or spine of your knife to travel along. So you naturally end up pushing too far into the tinder bundle. With a shorter Firesteel, I tend to adjust my grip and use the tip section of the spine of the knife with my thumb just behind it. This gives me much more control over the knife, while still allowing me to apply plenty of pressure to get a high concentration of sparks to land on the tinder bundle. You can see here that even though I am only pushing the knife slowly on the Firesteel, I'm still able to create a lot of sparks, enough to catch some of the coals alight that were there from the previous fire a few days ago. One of the downsides of Firesteels is that because they are often small and compact, they are really easy to lose in the woods. Either you end up putting it down straight away once you've got a flame of your fire, and then you forget where you put it, or it falls out of your pocket as you are doing other tasks around the camp. To help make your Firesteel stand out more, you can switch out the cordage it came with and tie in a short piece of fluorescent paracord. Most Firesteels come with a hole in the handle or the rod for you to tie some cord to, so why not tie something bright to it? That way, if you do end up dropping it on the forest floor, the cordage stands out against the leaves and debris, making it much easier to catch your eye. Alternatively, you could add some firelighting paracord to the handle. This paracord has some waterproof flax fire cord inside, which is flammable. That way, if you find yourself needing to light a fire and you don't have much tinder available, you can undo the paracord from your Firesteel and pull out a length of the flax fire cord. Then scrunch this up in a ball and throw some sparks on it with the Firesteel. It lights pretty quickly and burns with enough time for you to add some fine twigs and kindling and build up your fire. If you don't venture into the woods regularly and you only use your Firesteel a few times a year, the chances are it's going to begin to oxidise as the air gets to it, and as it has iron in it, it will likely start to rust. To help prevent it rusting over time, you can apply a small amount of wax to create a protective layer on it. I just rub it with the wax of a tea light or small candle and make sure to give it a good coating. When you go to use the striker or knife on it, you'll need to give it a few scrapes to get rid of the wax layer before it starts to make sparks again. But it's a good way of increasing the longevity of your Firesteel. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Feel free to hit the subscribe button if you did. Be sure to watch my other bushcraft skills videos, including 10 bushcraft knife skills, 10 bushcraft axe skills, and 10 bushcraft saw skills. They can all be found in my bushcraft and survival skills playlist, which I will link below. Be sure to check out my second channel, Life of Mike, as well as our sister channel, TA Fishing. All the links you need are in the description below. Thanks so much for watching this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.